You're listening to Transmission on 4ZZZ, amplifying the trans and gender non-conforming voices of Brisbane and beyond.
Hello, you're listening to Transmission on 4ZZZ. My name is Ez, I use he, him pronouns. It's Pride Month, and it's Pride Fair Day this weekend, and I'm feeling very excited, I'm full of energy. So yeah, a lot of the news and events that I'll be discussing this morning will surround the Brisbane Pride Fair Day and the rally and such as well. So we'll get into that in a minute. But I'd just like to give you a rundown of what's happening this episode. So aside from the news and events, there is also an interview. I have a guest interview today with the beautiful Belinda Birtles. I'll be talking to her a little bit later, and we can find out more about who she is and what she does. And then further in the episode, Jay from Tenzzz Across has been reporting on Ballroom. Every month he sends us something in. So this week we've got some stuff from Jay, which is really exciting. I'm pretty pumped. So I'm going to start by talking about the week in news and events. I do actually owe a correction for last week, because the Trans Community Awards I did say was located at the Wickham. It is not. It is at 275 George Street in Brisbane on Friday the 11th of November. So that's a correction there on the venue. I did think it was going to be at the Wickham, but then Dylan from Many Genders One Voice was like, hey, Ez, it's not there. So yeah, 275 George Street, in case you're wondering. We'll get into the other events coming up. There's the Brisbane Pride Fair Day, which is Saturday the 24th of September. The Pride Rally and March, which is actually on before the fair, is at Orally Park in West End, and it's starting at 9:30am. The duration is a 30-minute walk from Orally Park up to Montague Road, down Vulture Street, and then inevitably ending up in Musgrave Park to begin the Fair Day festivities. It's time to roll out those flags, banners for the Brisbane Pride Festival Rally and March, get loud and proud and colourful, and come on down and continue to demand equality, inclusion and acceptance for the community. The Brisbane Pride Fair Day will be located, yes, at the Musgrave Park in West End, and that starts at 10am. So if you're not interested in doing the walk, can just head down to the park at 10am. It'll run all till 5pm, so pretty much all day. And on the Brisbane Pride website, it says it's time for the 2022 Brisbane Pride Fair Day, hosted by Brisbane Pride Festival in Musgrave Park. Get ready to come together and celebrate everything that makes our community so wonderful. Join the Brisbane Pride Festival Fair Day at Musgrave Park as it transforms into an energetic and fun-filled, loud and proud playground, complete with live performances, exciting and enticing stalls, as well as some delicious street food. The 4ZZZ tent will also be there. This is our first year attending the Brisbane Pride Fair Day. I'm so excited. Kai's so excited. We're both going to be there. There will also be a live broadcast from Pride Fair Day, but from 2 till 4pm, hosted by Exit Stage Z. So yeah, if you want to listen to that, September 24th from 2pm on 4ZZZ, that's this Saturday. Also, there is a Pride Rally and March mobility bus. So that will be located at the Tenerife Ferry Wharf at 8am on, Saturday, 24th September, calling all LGBTIQA+ sister girl and brother boy seniors and folks wanting mobility assistance. Do you or if someone you know want to join the Brisbane Pride festivities and require support on mobility? If so, and if you require any wheelchair access, please get in touch. So that way you can access that. So that's all arranged by QC. If you'd like to register, you can email info@qc.org.au. I'll say that again, info@qc.org.au, or you could call 073017 1777. I'll also pop a link up on the Transmission Facebook page at Trans Radio with a Z, and then that way you can register if you do want to grab the mobility bus. Also on the same day, so this is all this Saturday, it's going to be a lot. I hope that I can run around to everything. I don't know if I can. But there's the Sapphics Pride Party, which is at the Cave Inn in Wollongabba from 1pm till 6pm on Saturday. This event will take place on the same day as Brisbane Pride Fair Day at the Cave Inn. So come down after marching and enjoying the fair. We'll be dancing all afternoon long till 6pm when the venue's next event starts. Please note this event is not associated with the Brisbane Pride Festival. You need 18 plus as well to enter, and there'll be some DJs there as well. Accessibility for that venue, it doesn't have accessible toilets, and all the toilets are up a set of stairs, so unfortunately this event may not be suitable for everyone's needs. If you'd like to check out more about the Sapphics event, you can head over to the Transmission Facebook page at Trans Radio with a Z as well. Okay, there's also Your Pride Art Show this Saturday from 2 p.m. at 10 Morton Street, Paddington, which is the community hall there. This is a free event. Your Pride Art Show is an innovative initiative of our Pride Youth Advisory Group. Our Pride hosts the event annually during Brisbane Pride to celebrate community, colour and joy. Your Pride is an all-ages event featuring art from young people aged 16 to 25. All the artists showcased identify as LGBTQIA+, and come from all across Australia. This year, the theme for Your Pride Art Show is home. So we invited artists to create pieces that reflect where and or when they feel the safest to be themselves as young LGBTQIA people. Queerbait and Gay Recess will be playing at that event from 4:30 p.m. until 7 p.m. There's also free snacks. It's a non-alcoholic drink on non-alcoholic venue or space, so keep that in mind. And there's also going to be a quiet hour at the start of the event for people who find large crowds a little bit too overwhelming with noise and such. Also, in the evening is the Alexander Ball, which is at the Tivoli on Saturday, 24th of September from 6:30 p.m. Meanjin's trailblazing ballroom house, the House of Alexander, returns to the Tivoli once again for an extravagant night not to be missed. The Alexander Ball brings 8 striking categories that celebrate what it means to be unapologetically queer, and for sure will make for an unforgettable night. I 100% will be there. Kai and I will hopefully be able to race over after the fair, try and get all glamorous for that one. There's also some news. So yeah, all those events are on the same day. It's September 24th, a Saturday. It's pretty much the conclusion or coming to the end of Brisbane Festival as well, and Brisbane Pride Month is coming to a conclusion, so that's all what this is about. Hopefully next year, all these event organisers can spread things out throughout the month, mostly because just one day seems like a lot of events for a community. So if we could spread that out over the whole month, that would be really cool. Just a personal preference, because I'd like to go to all of them. Anyway, we're going to go into some news now. So this one is WPATH has updated its standard of care. So just a bit of information on what that is. So the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, WPATH, which is a non-profit interdisciplinary professional and educational organisation devoted to transgender health. So WPATH is a professional standard or best of practice care. In case you're wondering which practitioners this includes, this is GPs, psychs, endocrinologists, and anyone who works with trans patients should definitely pay attention to this. So professional bodies like these do have the power to lobby the Australian Medical Association and federal government. However, they do not themselves have the power to change Medicare billing, for example. So WPATH has updated its standard of care that trans people can expect and demand from medical professionals. So here are just some of the updates. I'm not going to go through all of them. I will pop a link on the Transmission Facebook page at Trans Radio with a Z. You can click the link there and see all the things that have been updated. So gender dysphoria is no longer required for anything, whereas previously it was. HRT wait times for surgery is now 6 months instead of a year. HRT required for non-binary patients is dropped, which is great. Informed consent is obviously encouraged there. FFS is now called FGAS for facial gender affirming surgery and is listed as medically necessary. The following surgeries are now considered medically necessary: top surgery for trans men and trans women, vocal feminization, tracheal shave, and body contouring. Any recommendations for stopping HRT before gender affirming surgery is now no longer a requirement or advised. Increased recommended levels for trans feminine HRT to 300 PG. No letters or assessments prior to starting HRT, which is fantastic because I'm really happy about that one. A single letter for surgery is required, just one, which is great. And for adolescents, recommended multidisciplinary teams assess surgical needs and does recommend surgery be available should it need to be. And pubertarial HRT is heavily endorsed. So those are some of the changes there to WPATH. Yeah, the link will be up on the Transmission Facebook page at Trans Radio with Z. So yeah, check all that out. So that's the week in events and some news. We're going to now listen to a track. This one is by RVG, A Quality of Mercy. Amplifying the voices of the trans and gender non-conforming community of Meanjin, Brisbane and beyond.
Transmission on 4ZZZ brings you the latest in trans community news, music and events.
every Tuesday from 9am till 10am.
Join our team of hosts for an hour of celebrating the unique perspectives of the trans community.
Transmission, Tuesday mornings from 9am till 10am on 4ZZZ. You're listening to Transmission on 4ZZZ. My name is Ez and I use he, him pronouns. I'm just going to give a little bit of a trigger warning for any of our trans GNC listeners or anyone who may need like a bit of a mental health check here. Letting you know that this next segment may contain some heavy themes. I'm about to interview someone who is a clinical psychologist and works particularly with trans and GNC patients. So we're going to have a conversation. And I just thought I'd let you know that there are some themes happening. I'll quickly introduce the beautiful Belinda Birtles, who is a clinical psychologist at Brisbane Southside Psychology and has worked as a psychologist in mental health space since 2005. She is also on the board of directors at AusPath, which is the Australian Professional Association for Trans Health, and supervises many health professionals that work in trans, gender diverse and non-binary communities. Belinda is also a nominee for Medical Practitioner and Ally of the Year for the Trans Community Awards 2022. Belinda, what are your pronouns?
Oh my goodness, you are so beautiful. My pronouns are she, her, and oh, what a introduction. I feel so humbled.
Oh,
So
well, I mean, I
beautiful.
copied that from your trans.
so
It's the bio that you wrote.
Oh my goodness. He is so beautiful.
So we're going to be having a bit of a chat today about a few things. You're actually the very first ally I've had on the show.
Oh, good. I'm glad that allies are on the show. It's very exciting. And it's so lovely to be an ally on the show. I feel so, I don't know. Like, I feel, yeah, it's lovely.
Oh, well, I'm really happy to have you here. And like, obviously,
I feel so honoured. That's the word I was looking for.
yeah, and I guess like a lot of trans people also, we need allies, and we need allies, especially in medical
Yeah.
spaces.
Yeah.
So it's really wonderful
Yeah.
to have you in today.
Good.
Yes.
Good. And thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are we talking about?
So over the years working with trans patients, I was going to ask, what are some of the common struggles that people come in with mostly?
A lot of the younger trans people and gender diverse and non-binary folk, like they come in and they're like, my parents don't understand and like I don't know what to do with that. And I'm like, bring them in. Like, let's talk about this. And then sometimes the parents come in and they're angry with me. They're like, we Googled you online and we know you're on AusPath and that's fine. I can tolerate that. But it just makes me sad of what they're experiencing at home. Like, you know,
Yeah.
listen to your young people.
Yeah. I mean, and so I guess family acceptance is one of the larger things.
Massively.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, in saying that, like that's a small minority, but like there's other parents who are just like, I just want to do whatever. Like teach me about pronouns and teach me about like all of this stuff. And it's beautiful. Like, but there's sort of that, it's almost like a black and white flip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I guess that comes from, you know, you have a perception, I guess, as a parent. I'm not a parent, so I don't know.
No,
but
neither am I.
But as a parent,
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
you have this, and my mum talks about you want your kid to be healthy and happy and survive and fit in,
yes.
and you want all these things, and then anything that deviates from this safety thing that you think is safe or that you
Exactly,
know, then
exactly.
you get scared and then you don't, you know, it can be hard to learn or learn new things
Yeah, like
around
is
that.
my child going to be hurt on the street? And I'm like, well, probably not if you're there protecting them.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can understand where it's coming from, but sometimes it gets a little bit aggressive.
Right.
Yeah, which is really interesting.
Do you see like a lot of patients with sort of self-doubt and confusion around as well, or?
Yeah, sometimes I'll see people that come in and they'll say, oh, I'm not sure if I'm trans or I'm not sure if I'm non-binary. And we're just like, let's have a think about it.
Yeah, right.
We don't have to make a decision today.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not my decision, it's their decision. Like, it's not a decision, but it's like, just let's have a think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any sort of strategies for people with coping with like family acceptance stuff around that area? Or?
Oh, I don't know. I usually just say bring them in.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Right. So
Like,
bring parents in as well.
Bring the parents in. Let's talk about it. Let's have a good conversation about this. So, because I think the media gets involved, and I think people read a lot in, like not people, but I think parents read a lot in the media because they're scared.
Right. And so they're getting mainstream media as their form of information in terms of understanding their
like the
kids.
Australian, or not to shame anyone, but like they get all
Yeah,
this,
right.
they get all this mainstream media, and then they're like, you don't know what you're talking about.
And
I'm
there's
like,
lots of news platforms that have like misinformation as well.
absolutely,
Many.
yeah. And I think these parents, they just want the best for their kids, but they just, I don't think they just don't understand.
Yeah, right. And do you think there are like resources available and things like that? Because I have a website that I can mention as we get through as well, with lots of resources.
Yep.
So I guess like a big issue for like familiar acceptance is media which is misrepresentation of the community. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think lovely places like PFLAG and things like that, and like they've got a lot to give. So,
yeah, PFLAG's actually fantastic.
Yeah, I think they're awesome. They do a lot of good work.
Even my mum reached out to PFLAG many years ago. Yeah,
she?
Yeah, she did.
And they'll be at Pride.
Yes, they will be at Pride.
Which is good.
Yeah, so another reason to go down there, actually.
Yeah, Pride's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I love it. So what other basic needs do you think are not being met in terms of trans people's lives?
I think mainstream medical centres and things don't understand. Like, they don't do pronouns. They don't understand pronouns. They don't use, like, they call it preferred name, which drives me insane. Like, it's like, this is your name. Like,
it's not preferred. It's my name.
Not preferred. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is not your preferred pronoun. This is your pronoun.
Yes.
Yeah. That stuff, like, that boils my blood. And I don't think other services understand that. And I don't think they mean it. I just don't think they understand it. I think there needs to be much more, like, awareness or, like, education.
It does. It's a huge educational front, I think. But
why should it be?
Well, the thing is, it's such a, I don't know, there's not a lot of information that's easily accessible, and the information
That's a good point.
that is easily accessible, you do have to actively look for. And if you're not personally trans or directly affected by trans issues, you're not gonna care about looking stuff up for other people. And that's it. I know that sounds like maybe like selfishness for people.
I don't think it's selfish.
I think it doesn't directly affect me, so why would I look into it? And then inevitably what happens is that it's trans people who are left to educate people in medical spaces.
Yeah, but I hear that all the time. Like, I hear, like, a lot of my trans people come in and go, we have to educate the GP. And I'm like, well, that's not your job.
Yes,
Like,
and that's what
give them my
happens.
number. I'll educate them. Like, it's just not okay.
Yeah,
But then where do they get that education from? Like, QC do an awesome job and they educate people, but a lot of these places aren't educated.
Yeah, I mean, there are some advocates in the community as well that will put on, like, educationals. I mean, Many Genders One Voice is a pretty good place to also
they're
tap
awesome.
into as well.
Yep.
And, you know, there needs to be some more workshops, but I think it needs to be, all the onus needs to be on the medical professional.
Absolutely.
In order to go, hey, I run a medical practice. How do I become the most inclusive?
Totally.
Not just for trans people and LGBTQIA plus in general, but accessibility for disability people, for BIPOC, you know. So, like, there's lots of things that need to be considered. And I think if you're going to run any business, whether that be in medical spaces or not, you know, that needs to be considered.
And I agree. And I see a lot of people that come in and they're like, I wasn't supported in that space. And I'm like, oh, it's not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's challenging.
Yeah, very. Yeah.
Yeah, so but what has been the most rewarding thing for you working with trans? I mean, you've been working in this field since 2005.
Yeah, I like this field. It's what a beautiful community.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Seeing people find themselves.
Yeah. It must be really, because I imagine...
It's beautiful.
I remember when first time I went into therapy, I was very closeted. You know, I had a lot of internalized transphobia and a lot of angst. And I guess, like, facilitating safe, you know, psychological spaces, you know, like in a clinic is really... And that can be really challenging for a lot of trans people to find the right psychologist as well.
Yeah, and I see that a lot. Like, I see people like, I saw this person and, like, a psychologist, and that wasn't okay, and then they come and see me or whoever, and it's like, this feels okay. And I'm like, good, because it should feel okay. This is not something that should not feel okay.
Is there something you could say to other psychologists who, like, if there was something you could say to them in terms of working with trans people, what's one piece of advice you would give them?
Oh, my goodness, no pressure.
No pressure.
I don't know. That's a very interesting question. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, my thoughts? Oh, look, I think people are people, and everyone is confused.
Be yourself. Let people be themselves.
I think everyone feels confused about lots of aspects of themselves all the time. I think everyone is walking around confused.
That makes sense.
And the only way to get clear is to talk. The only way to
and
get
I think
clear
that's
is
so
clarity.
beautiful how people come to therapy, and, like, you know, sometimes people will come to therapy and they're like, I'm not sure who I am. I'm like, that's okay. Let's talk about it.
You don't need to know.
You don't need to know.
Yeah.
It's not my job to tell you who you are.
Yeah, and I think
let's have a chat.
one of the big things for me through like coming out and transition and over my journey has been a lot of a very binary construct of gender, which is like I was a girl and now I am going to be a man or whatever. And really what's happened through my journey was not that. It was, oh wow, gender is really kind of an illusion and it's made up and it's not even real, it's a construct. It's
a societal construct.
It's an identity. It's a sense of like, oh, I love the color blue. Oh, maybe I like the color red as well. You know, like it's a way of expression, it's a way of feeling, it's a way of being. And my concept of gender has very dramatically changed throughout time.
And I think that's the problem with parents. Like, they don't mean it, but like they get caught in that. Like, oh, they liked pink, they liked blue. Like, that's got nothing to do with it.
That has nothing.
They're trying to be themselves.
They're just preferences.
Yeah.
And preferences can change.
Yeah, and I think,
boundaries
and
can
the
change.
other thing,
all sorts of things change.
When gender, like when people go, oh, I'm trans, sexuality changes, and they're like, oh, so you're gay now.
Yeah,
but it's got nothing to do with
not
gender.
Yeah, it does.
It's like, oh, I feel more comfortable in my body, so I can actually explore myself.
Yeah, and I guess
I think that's
exciting.
A huge thing.
It's massive.
Yeah,
I felt like my whole world like cracked open like an egg. Sorry, there's a trans joke in there for any of the trans listeners.
That's cute, like a little baby egg.
Yes,
That's cute.
It's an egg. Like I hatched.
How can you not hatch?
Yes, everyone wants to hatch and grow and change.
Why not?
Yeah, well, I will be putting up some links on the Transmission Facebook page for some resources should anyone like to get some educational knowledge on applying things in medical spaces or in your business or just in your general life. So you can head over to the Transmission Facebook page at Trans Radio with a Z. Thank you so much, Belinda, for coming in today.
My pleasure. Anytime.
Anytime. Oh, you're so sweet. We're now going to listen to a track. This one is by Ezra Furman, Point Me Toward the Real. That one there was Cutesy Monster Man by Craig Shea. You're listening to Transmission on 4ZZZ. My name is Ez. I use he, him pronouns. And we're now about to go into our monthly segment, Tenzzz Across, with Jay and Imani from our beautiful The House of Alexander. Let's have a listen to what they've been up to.
This is Tenzzz Across, a monthly segment where two Tenzzz take you across all the latest in ballroom for Mianjin, so-called Australia, and Aotearoa. Ballroom is a culture created by Black and Latina trans women in New York and upheld in so-called Australia by Polynesian, First Nations, and other queer people of colour. As always, we pay respect to those who've come before us and allow us to take part in the culture today. I'm J007, a male figure who walks Virgin Vogue, Old Way, and Face. I'm joined by Imani 007, a femme queen who walks Hands Performance, Commentator vs. Commentator, Best Dressed, and Bizarre. This month's Tenzzz Across is going to be a little more different than usual as I take you with me on a journey to Tamaki Makaurau, falsely known as Auckland, for the Unity Ball. Then we get talking about the Alexander Ball, taking place in Mianjin this Saturday. So let's get into it. Jean and I arrived in Aotearoa on the 11th of August. It was cold and beautiful and I was exhausted, but there was no curling up and falling asleep for me. That night there was a workshop where JC Aman and Kiana Arichi Divine would be taking us through the categories of Face, Runway, and Vogue Femme.
Let me tell you something. One thing Kiana and JC are going to do is run a Kiki throwdown like the Navy.
Exactly, Imani. Face and Vogue Femme are both categories of mine, and I wasn't going to pass up the chance to learn from some of the best.
Period. Let me run through their resume real quick. JC is one of the trailblazers for the Aotearoa scene. She actually is the mother of House of Imani, which is one of a select few international Kiki houses that have been started in the AUNZ ballroom scene. And Mother Kiana Divine, who's actually a trailblazer for the NAM, which is what we know to be as Melbourne, for their ballroom scene. But she also walked the Latex Ball as well, which is one of, if not the most like prestigious ball that they hold in America each year.
I was fairly nervous. Being a relatively unknown 007 from overseas meant I didn't know if it was going to be easy to fit into a well-established scene like the one in Tamaki. I made it to the small community hall where the workshop was being held, and from the moment I got off the bus, I started to feel better. There's something about when you hear a Vogue beat playing that just reminds you that this is family first. It's the way it gets into your heart and flows through your arms and down to your legs until you can't help yourself but key. The spirit that takes hold of you is the same spirit that takes hold of everyone, and that's community. When I first got in, I was welcomed by Mother Honey Givenchy, whose house was running the Unity Ball. They took me around and introduced me to a bunch of doublers from Tamaki and Te Whanganui Tara, falsely known as Wellington. By the time the workshop started, I was at home. The workshop itself was incredible. JC and Kiana have so much knowledge. When I wasn't joining in, I was furiously taking down notes on my phone while watching everyone else at work.
But there is a point where if there is a song that caters to that rhythm that you have, you can catch it, and it's fine, as long as you're not dancing.
When it was time for me to leave, I found myself voguing down while waiting for the bus across the road. My heart was so full. The magic of ballroom is that anywhere you go in the world, you can find family, and I'm really grateful every time I get to re-experience that. The actual ball took place on the 13th of August, at 9 p.m. in a warehouse turned into a perfect, bright pink display of queer excellence. The category I had initially planned to walk was the face with a production category. Face by itself is a category where you show off your face to the judges, emphasizing skin, structure, teeth, nose, etc. In face with a production, you have to design the most dramatic, jaw-dropping entrance to go with it.
Did you end up walking? Because I do remember seeing you down there helping Aloria walk her Tenzzz. Like you helped present her to the judges and walked her up on stage. Which is actually a really big thing too. Having someone walk you up on stage, usually that will be the family, or if you're like a 007, these will be people that you are very close to or help like foster your time in the scene.
I ran out of time to prepare anything to walk, and I was like, that's okay, maybe I'll just watch this time. But then when Aloria was like, can you help me out with my production, I gladly took that chance because it's a way to sort of be a part of it without having to get the entire thing ready. The ball was a bit chaotic for me because I was mostly trying to help out behind the scenes with the production. So her outfit got thrown out at the airport. Yeah, she flew in that morning. The outfit got tossed. So she's like, what do I do? And I was like, okay, we'll figure something out. We grab, like, there are 2 mirrors backstage, and we're like, we'll just figure something out with a mirror. I will like hold a mirror and you can sort of perform to the mirror. The other thing was she'd chosen Hopelessly Devoted to You before Olivia Newton-John died. So then suddenly there was all this pressure of like, well, now it's gone from just being a cool song choice to like an Olivia Newton-John tribute. And the pressure for that is so intense, right? So we were like running around trying to figure out what we should do. Then we smashed one of the mirrors.
Oh my god.
It was so... And I was like, at this point, I was so nervous. I was like just behind the scenes, like practicing and practicing.
Despite all the chaos, Aloria got her Tenzzz, and the crowd absolutely melted at the accidentally planned Olivia Newton-John tribute. Shortly after us, though, came the moment of the night.
Oh my god, the face production at the end from the House of Imani.
Oh
like,
my god.
This is what we talk about when we say that the House of Imani is like the house, right?
Right.
Because that production... It was fully choreographed, 4 choreographed dances. It had fire on the stage. She was lifted up and like tipped backwards so that the judges could like see her fully.
Oh my god.
It was...
When you just said that, I just pictured them where they tipped her back and then they like moved down the line of judges for her to like surf it. Oh my god. Yeah.
And to Alien Superstar as well, like the track of the century, right? Like,
that's why they're like one of the houses to be in the AUNZ Kiki scene.
It was so good that Honey made them do it again.
What?
Yeah, like all the judges, they were like, well, that's literally after the ball ended, like after the final, the grand final for Face, and it was like, that's it, thanks all for coming. And then the judges were like, no, we want to see the House of Iman Face production again. So that video that was taken, that's been going around on Instagram, is actually of the second time that they did it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What?
I've
didn't
never
even
seen anything
catch
like that happen at a ball before. And it was really powerful.
Right, and unless we get a production like that again, I don't think we'll ever see it again.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
In conclusion, if I was kicked out of Mianjin tomorrow and had to pick another scene, it would definitely be Tamaki.
And what a scene to pick, because the way that they have kind of like fostered for this, like the scene down there, and it's kind of crazy when you think about how Auckland, when it comes to Australia and New Zealand, Auckland, I'm pretty sure, has been around the longest. Like the fact that house parents from New Zealand and Auckland were actually ones that helped set up Sissy Ball, which is Australia's longest running ball that we hold annually. They're actually there for its inception of it. So I was gonna say, if there were any other scene to pick from, I feel like Jay knows what's good. It's time to board the plane, go down to Auckland, and see what's up over there.
I had to head back to Mianjin eventually, and while a part of my heart will always be left behind in the Tamaki scene, it's not like the Mianjin scene hasn't got enough going on.
Oh, speaking of the Alexander Ball, last year's Alexander Ball went really well, so I'm not too nervous about participating in a major ball again. But on the other hand, this ball's going to be so much bigger. No matter how big it gets, it's home ground. So even if you get chopped, it's like with your own community, so it doesn't really matter as much, to me at least. Like, that's how I interpret it. Like, if I walk off the stage getting chopped at Alexander Ball, I know that everyone's going to be like, you did your best, you know? Whereas
Right.
at West Ball, it would have been like just me like crying.
Because you're so right. Because at the Alexander Ball, you're from, like, this is your home ground. And when you get off the stage, if you've been chopped, you'll have like literally 10 of your friends rush up to you and be like, we need to go fight the judges. What do you mean you got a chop? But then if you go and do that in a state where you're not from, like, I'm picturing myself walking a ball in Narm and I get chopped. Oh, I leave the floor to nobody rushing to console me. Oh, I'd have to board the next flight back to Mianjin.
and that's it. Like, never come back. Nah. But yeah, are you walking anything?
Yes, I will be. So it's kind of crazy. This is actually the first big bowl that we've had that has had commentator versus commentator as a category. And this is a category to highlight the MCs of the bowls and what they do for Vogue performances. So there'll be kind of like rapping, spitting hot fire, to these Vogue tracks. And the really crazy thing is that you can usually gauge who's connecting to a commentator versus commentator battle, because people will literally get up and Vogue. They will get up, hit a couple dips, do a couple spins, hit a duck walk, a catwalk, give some hands. But it's really crazy. Like, the energy for a commentator versus commentator category is insane. I would say that it's second to like actual Vogue performance categories.
Most categories, it's about what you see on stage, and that's cool. But to have a category that's just about like how excited you can get the entire audience, when it's done perfectly, it's so much fun to be part of. I'm genuinely so excited.
Thank you, Jay. But now onto you. What categories was our gracious host thinking of walking?
This year, I am walking Virgin Vogue Femme and Old Way, and also Face this time round. So that training that I took from JC, I really want to bring that. Old Way I'm a little bit nervous about just because last year in Old Way there were only 3 of us. Yeah, everyone that walked out had less than a year's experience. But this year round, there are some really heavy hitters coming over, especially from like Bolu and Eora Nation that are like terrifying, and I'm worried I won't
Do
get
you
my
know
turn.
what I feel like the best part about like that is like as a silver lining, if we're going to be looking for silver linings, the fact that like when you think about how little people have kind of like engaged with the old way category in the scene up like when you look back a year ago, it's kind of crazy to see how explosive the interest in it has gotten and how competitive it is now to feel like there's as much competition in the old way categories as there will be in like the regular Vogue performance categories. And we love to see
Yeah.
that. Let me reassure you about something, Mr. J. Bowman. You will not be getting chopped for the old way. Let me tell you something right now.
Wow. So the next time we talk, this will all be over. We'll know. We'll know what happens. And
that's
we'll
gonna
be
be
sitting
crazy.
here, and you'll be a 2 times grand prize commentator versus
And you will
commentator.
be
And I
3-time
will
winner for the Trinity
imagine.
Butch Face, Trans Man Face, Virgin Vogue, and Pop Dip and Spin Grand Prize. Thank you. Don't play on Mr. J. Bowman. Listen to me now. Listen to me good. Yeah.
We'll wrap it up for now, and next time we'll be back to talk about everything that went down at the Alexander Ball. And it's gonna
Uh-oh.
be fun. It's gonna be a big one.
Right. Good luck to future Jay and Imani. Fingers
Yes.
crossed we come back with 5 grand prizes between the two of us. Amen.
Amen.
There you have Jay and Imani talking about the Alexander Ball, which is coming up this Saturday, September 24th, the Tivoli. I'm so excited to go. I'm so excited to support Jay and Imani and the House of Alexander. It's going to be amazing. It's really, really cool. Yeah, you should check that out. I believe there are some tickets left. You should head over to, I think it's a Brisbane Festival website. It's part of that as well. So yeah, check all that out there. We've actually come to the end of transmission today. Yeah, my name's Ez. I use he, him pronouns. We're all about amplifying the trans and gender non-conforming voices of Mianjin, and we play exclusively artists who are trans or GNC or non-binary as well. So I hope you enjoy the rest of Brisbane Pride Month. I certainly will. And if you get a chance to head down to Brisbane Pride Fair Day for the 4ZZZ tent, will be there. I'll be there. I would love to say hi to everyone and hear some more cool trans stories. I'm all about it. So yeah, have a good one. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Transmission. See you next Tuesday, 9 to 10 a.m. on 4ZZZ.